Well, hey, welcome in. Thanks for joining us. You know, as a church at Portrait, we are in this season of trying to get better in our relationship. So we're doing a conversation on Sundays called Relationship Reset. And this is just a supplement to that. So, hey, I'm Pastor David, if you haven't met me, and this is my wife, Jenna.
Hello.
I'm just putting your name in my mouth, I guess. But so, yeah, we're excited to come to you and just kind of continue to supplement this series. We're going to talk about the dynamics of working together, parenting together, living together, because we're married, and of course our marriage dynamics and things like that. We hope it's helpful to you. A little bit of our backstory. So we planted Portrait Church together with a team of people about 2 years ago. We're coming up on our second anniversary, and I don't care that Pastor Ryan says it sounds like I have a lisp when I say that. We have merged anniversary and birthday together because we don't know what to call it. So it's anniversary. And so it's been a pretty wild ride, I would think.
It has been a wild ride, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But fun.
But it has been fun. So we thought it'd be fun just to kick off at the very beginning of this, because we are not only husband and wife and parents, but also co-leading Portrait and trying to just navigate all of those different dynamics. We thought it'd be fun to rate. I like scales 1 through 10. And so we thought it'd be fun to both individually rate our church planting journey to start this pod.
You thought this would be fun.
I thought
this
it would
was
be fun.
your idea.
So we've got these note cards. What we're going to do real quick, without me peeking at yours and without you peeking at mine, let's write down our number 1 through 10. So 10 means most amazing experience ever. Like 10 is heaven on earth.
Okay.
And 1 is hell on earth, I guess, would be the opposite of that. So
Yikes.
Write down your score, then we'll put it to our forehead, and then we'll look at each other's in a second, okay?
Okay.
All right. I've got like a quick number for me. So this is our experience as it relates to church planting. All right, put it to your forehead. Let everybody see it.
Okay.
All right, what'd you put down? Look,
Of course
a
you
7.1.
Well, of course you'd put a 9.5.
We couldn't be farther off.
We couldn't, no. But still above 5.
That's good. Yes,
So-
if you were at a 5, I'd actually be worried about where we're going. I guess, so hit me with yours. Why a 7.1? And that's very particular. What pushed it over from 7 to a 0.1?
Oh, geez. Okay, so I would say it's a 7.1 because it's been hard. Like learning to work together, learning to lead, the pressure, the expectations, the weight, because it's heavy. What we do matters, and it's heavy. And so it's been hard, but it's been good. And that's why it's not like a 4, because it's been good. Like, I've enjoyed it. But like I said, the learning curve is steep. What about you?
I went a 9.5 for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think the God stories have been absolutely unbelievable. And I remember before we moved to Salina in our old house, I remember when I was, I guess at this point we'd already decided we were going to plant, but we were kind of in that transition phase from our previous church. And so, it was probably like an 18-month incubation where we were just kind of sitting there in limbo. And I remember sitting in the kitchen being slightly petrified that we were actually going to step out in faith and go plant a church to begin with. But also like weirdly excited for the stories that God was going to write. And I remember sitting in the kitchen, I was doing the dishes, and I was like, God, if we go do this, I don't want this to be something where just people look at like any of the things that we're doing from an earthly standpoint, but I want people to see you. And I was like, man, there's been so many amazing God stories that we had experienced, whether it was in our infertility journey, just financial provision in the year of like us just getting married and having to pay for our wedding, and me stepping into advertising sales at a moment in time. It's like, I just feel like we'd had so many God stories in our marriage, and I was like, I don't want the best stories to be in the past. And so I was like, if we do this, you've got to write a really great story. And I feel like he has completely done that, whether it was him kind of speaking to us last summer that we were somehow going to inherit property, and that seemed like an impossibility. And then it's like 4 months later, the Wises come to us and go, hey, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Like that was
really
just
cool.
like, man, only God could do that. And then just the stories of life change too, of like families coming to church that weren't in church, entire families saying yes to Jesus. continuing to grow in their relationship with Jesus beyond just the initial commitment to start to follow him. The stories of people going, man, I've just never understood how personal God is until coming to Portrait Church, which was such a big heart desire for mine. I mean, the fact that we've seen like almost, 66 baptisms, I think, right now at this point of recording. And so I think all the God stories, number one, has just like fueled me. Number two is, I think there's some really cool, Portrait people are pretty dang cool. You're cool. You need to know that.
Yes, you are. They are really cool.
What do we say? Portrait people aren't religious people. We're just Jesus people. Mm-hmm. And I shared this with you on a Sunday before, but it bears repeating. That I remember there's a passage in Scripture where Paul is talking to his younger protege pastor, Timothy, and he says, Timothy, pray that the people make your ministry a joy. And I think that is who Portrait people are. I feel like you make serving this church a joy. It's not a burden. It really is a joy to get to do life with you, to help you in your faith journey with Jesus. And I just want to let you know that again, I think that you've just been a source of encouragement and a joy to us. Even just the text that we'll get of like, hey, keep going. You know, you guys are doing a great job, or how can we pray for you guys? And so I've told other pastors that too, like, that I genuinely love our people. Same. That God has brought to our church. Like it really does feel like a church family, which is what it should be. And sadly, that's not always the case. There's a lot of church planters that they're like, man, church is great, except for the people. And that's a bummer.
That's a big bummer, actually.
Yeah. That is not God's heart for ministry or for his bride, AKA the church.
No, I totally agree.
So 9.5. 9.5.
I love that.
Also, I will add, I think part of it was a prayer request going into it, because when I escaped to Broken Bow, when you gave me that gift, and you're like, yeah, go to Broken Bow right after we launched. And I was walking the trails, and I was like, God, you say, Jesus, that your burden is easy and your yoke is light. Mm-hmm. And yet, you remember this, because when we went through church plant assessment, how many pastors would say that planting and even following Jesus, their burden was easy and their yoke was light?
Oh, not many.
Right. What did they all say? They were like,
everyone's going to leave you once you open your church.
Yeah. They're like, get ready.
It's going to be so hard.
It sucks.
Yeah, they did.
What else? Like, nobody liked it.
They were trying to scare you to not do it.
I guess. And so I just remember praying, God, like, that shouldn't be. Like, if that verse is true, Jesus, I want to experience your easy yoke. Mm-hmm. And when I went to Rock Creek to guest priest.
Preach? Guest preach?
Yeah, guest preach in the summer. Somebody was saying, hey, how's it been? And I said, it has been a big joy. Mm-hmm. And I said that while it has been hard, it hasn't been heavy.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been really hard, but it hasn't been heavy. How have you experienced that maybe? No,
I agree. I think it's been hard, but it's not been so heavy that I'm like, oh, what were we thinking? I want to quit. It's nothing like that. However, I will say, and I think most people at Portrait that know David well could attest to this, you just have, there's just this thing about you where you're like.
This thing about
there
me.
is,
Okay,
there is.
unpack.
There's this thing about you. You're just, well, you're happy, but you just see the good in everybody. Like I'm always like, oh gosh, I see the bad in all the things, and I'm a little bit morbid at times, which I get made fun of for. But you're like, no, life is great. Everything's good. Don't worry. They might fall off the cliff, but they'll still live. Like it's fine. You have that about you, and I think that contributes to your 9.5.
That's probably true, because I've actually said about myself, I am a kid in a dad bod.
You totally are. A very cute dad bod.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably true. I do have this, like, my glass is not, I'm not a half glass full sort of guy. Mm-mm. I'm a glass like overflowing
yes,
sort of guy.
Yes, you are. And I have to bring you back down like, wait a second.
Which has gotten me into trouble because
yes, absolutely.
To your point, sometimes I'm not the best judge of people because I just think everybody is amazing.
Yes. They're inherently good. And I'm like, that's not exactly true.
I'm like, sure, you want to babysit our kids? That's awesome. Yeah. Come over.
And I'm like, where's the background check? Have you done the full report?
And then you run the background check and you're like, nope, they're disqualified for this, and this. It's like,
or you wanting to take our kids to
really
Mexico. And Pastor Ryan's like, They're only 5.
That is true.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
So last year, Pastor Ryan and I, we went down with Chuck Dominguez to go to Tapestries of Life to see if we were going to support Pastor Steve Brewer and the orphanage down there. It's in Juarez, Mexico, like drug capital, cartel, crime everywhere. And anyway, we go, and I was like, man, this was such a lovely experience. It was delightful.
No, let me tell you. He calls me from the airport, and he's like, hey, Jen, it was so great. We drive over the border in a white van. You go down this dirt road for like 10 miles, so you're in the middle of nowhere. And I think it's going to be like so great for our kids. And I'm like, excuse me? And Cam was 5, and Matt's 8. And I was like, Ryan, what do you think? He's like, David, no, bro. Like, what are you thinking?
That is true. I'm still pushing for them to go. We're looking at a trip maybe this spring, and
like 14 and up.
I don't know.
I think 14
unless
and up.
Unless you can pull the pastor card and go, but my kids.
No.
If I want to stay married, I'll let them stay home.
Oh, they'll stay home.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I do want to say is even though that we've had the divergence in score a little bit, and I think you're in a unique and also a weird role and position though. I get to wear one hat.
Yes.
You have to wear pastor's wife hat plus leader hat because you do a lot of the directing of all the operations. Again, we're co-leading. I mean, like, I may have the vision, but she knows how to put feet to the vision. And so that is weird. So talk to me about that dynamic for you of how you navigate those two things.
Oh, it's been hard trying to figure out like how to balance that pastor wife role, supporting you, and then also just like supporting people in our church and meeting with people in our church, but then also at the same time leading within the church and leading teams. Being part of that staff and that co-leading that we do together, it's hard to balance because then you toss in, well, I'm a mom too. So I have kids that I love and adore and want to spend time with. So trying to wear both of those hats can be challenging, but I'm slowly figuring it out.
I think you're doing better than you think you are.
I don't know.
I think you're doing well.
I have a lot of really good friends that actually I've met through Portrait. Like, going into church planning, we're kind of told you need a support group outside of the church. Like, as a lead pastor's wife, it's hard to be friends and have a support group within your church. But that hasn't really been my story, actually. There's a few ladies within our church that have just come alongside of me that encourage me and support me and pray over me. And on the days that are hard, I call them when I'm crying, and they just pray scripture over me. And I don't know what I would do without those girls. So my story's been different in that way, I think.
Which I think is really beautiful in so many ways. I don't know if I'd want to do church different than that.
I don't know how you can. Like, and you've been a really big encourager. Like you've spoke against like, hey, Jen, I don't know if that has to be our story, but I think Portrait and what we do, it's different. There's something intangible about Portrait that I can't put my finger on that I don't think that you can reproduce. And so I think a lot of what we do is different. But I mean, growing up and through my 20s and 30s, I've always wanted to go against the grain. I've always wanted to be different. I mean,
You've never, well, I don't know. You've actually never told me that.
No.
But that's funny because I'm the same way. Like, I almost, I hate carbon copies.
Yes.
Like, I loathe it.
Who wants to be a carbon copy? That's not what God designed us to be. Like, I want to be different. And that's why I don't have social media. Like, why would I want to be like everybody else? Nope, I'll just stick without it. And I like living in my own world. But yeah, so I think we do things a little bit differently at Portrait. And I think you can kind of see that when you're with us on a Sunday, but then also with us during the week, because we don't just do Sundays, we just do life during the week too.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
All right, so you did say, even though it has been challenging at times, I remember us just having a conversation before bed one night, and I was like, would you do it again?
Oh, yes, absolutely, I would do it again. Would you?
Yes.
I mean, of course you would.
And
You were 9.5.
Yeah. And you were like, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world, even though it has been hard, and even though there's been a lot of sacrifice required with it, which is cool. But it's interesting. 9.5 overflowing, and then you are like glass half full.
7.1.
Yeah. And in the empty space, you're filling it in with the most like morbid thoughts. It's like, if we let our kids ride like just around the corner, then they're going to get picked up by a person in a van, and then we're never going to see them again. And I'm like, or
they're just going to be
a kid. So anyway,
life's different these days. Okay.
Yeah, but it is interesting. Like, and I'm glad that we started there with the card and like the scoring of our experience, because I think it's relatable, because two people can actually be navigating the exact same season, but experience it entirely differently.
Yes.
And I don't even know, like, how do you support each other in that? Like,
I mean, I think for you and I, well, you freely tell me all your thoughts because you're a verbal processor. So if you're struggling, you're going to tell me, and I can pick up on it. I'm more of a like suppress it and move on, and then you're like, come on, like let's let it out. It takes me a little bit of time, but I think we've done a good job at listening and encouraging each other. And working together has been hard, because for us, when we end our workday, it doesn't really end. Like, we're still talking about it through dinner.
That's true.
And so we've had to learn how to put up boundaries, and to guard our conversations, which we're still learning, and we're not the best at.
Like, to be honest, I don't even think that we are even
but
remote. We try. We're trying, a work in progress, but I don't think that we do a super great job at the boundaries of conversation around church. Like, does that make sense? It does occupy probably far more time in our daily discussion than it probably should.
But you told me before we even planted, and I have just stood on this, because it has been a struggle. And I'm a girl, so I can get a little bit more emotional, even though I don't like to admit that I cry. And I don't cry often. It's very rare, because I'm tough. I'm a girl. I'm tough. But you told me before we planted that you were like, hey, like, we're going to do this together. We're called together. It's taken me a little bit longer to step into that. But that your biggest prayer was that that this would not blow up our marriage and hurt our family. And that at the end of the day, if you had to walk away, you would, because me and the boys were the most important thing to you.
100%.
And you've stood by that. You've like reminded me of that. And so I think even though it's been hard at times, I know no matter what, like, me and the boys are the most important thing to you. So we've supported each other. We've talked through it together. And I think in a marriage, that's super important, like being vulnerable and actually expressing, like, okay, this is what I'm struggling with. Because I think often, like, we forget we're best friends.
Yeah.
Like, we were best friends before we got married. And I think sometimes in marriage, it can very quickly become a me versus him, but you're actually on the same team. And so talking through it and supporting each other is super important. Yeah,
and you guys are the most important thing in my life, you and the boys, behind Jesus.
Of course.
Matt asked me that question one time. I don't know, maybe you've been asked that question by your kids. They're like, do you love Jesus more than me? And I said, yes, 100%, I do. And he's like, but that's not fair. And I was like, no, let me explain why that's actually really healthy. And now Matt goes, I love Jesus more than you. But then I love you and mom next. I'm like, thanks. And then Max ended up on the list, our dog.
Yes.
I think he was number 3 in front of his brother. We're praying for them. That's, gosh. I'm like, what about Cam? He was kind of slid down. Poor guy. We're going to have to, hopefully they're friends in the future. That's my biggest prayer right now.
They will be.
But going back to, the working dynamics and us together and stuff like that, that is hard. It's hard to turn off the conversation at times. And it's also hard, full transparency, when you're getting the cold shoulder from your spouse in the house and you're like, hey, what's wrong? Because you're right. I have to pull stuff out of you.
You do.
Whereas I'll just like verbally vomit.
Yes.
You like, I can tell you like recluse into your shell like a box turtle. And then I'm like, I've got to pry it open. And so I'll keep pushing and prying. And then one time, do you remember, you're like, I'm not mad at my husband, I'm mad at my boss. And then you stormed out of the house.
I had to go on a drive for a walk and call a good friend of mine who also leads in a position similar to mine, and get a pep talk. Because it's really hard when you're to separate being a spouse and then a boss, right? Like I've had to learn like, okay, I'm not always going to agree with David's decisions, but as his co-leader, I still have to support them. Now, in a marriage, I verbally will say, hey, I totally disagree with you. And like, we'll talk it out, but ultimately you lead our house and I respect that. And I'm grateful for it. But yeah, there are times when my boss makes me really mad. But he just so happens to be my husband. And that's weird.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I equally can make you upset, but you handle it way better than I do.
Let's talk about the leadership of the home, because I think a lot of people are going, well, like, is the husband supposed to be the head of the household? You know, it seems like Scripture makes that point in case in Ephesians chapter 5, but then you see this mutual submission is really what I see. Yeah. It's like a lot of people want to park on, wives, submit to your husbands, but then we forget the part where it says, husbands, lay down your life like Jesus laid down his life for his bride, the church. And you're like, man, if husbands would lay down their life like Christ laid down his life, then I think it becomes very easy for the wife to actually follow their leadership. So let's talk about leadership in the home. And the first thing I want to draw to is go back. You said that I encourage you. I was like, hey, you're part of this call. You're part of this call. You're part of this call. And the Lord told me that very early, because we have a little bit of a unique story into ministry. Like, I was doing advertising sales for 12 years. And in fact, when we were going to our church previously to planting Portrait, we started volunteering there together. And then in that is when I personally felt called to ministry. It was like a connect the dots moment where, you know, like where the kids, you know, connect dots 1 through 100. And then by the time you finish all that, you're like, oh, it made this amazing elephant. Like, that was mine. It was like I looked back at all of my past life experiences and I started to draw all those lines and correlations. It was like, oh, I think God has been preparing me my whole life actually for ministry. And it was like this veil had been lifted. And I told you that, and you were super encouraging, and you're like, yeah, do it. You want to go back to school?
Yeah, I'm a very big education person.
Yeah, but you didn't realize that that was going to be a reality once I graduated. I'm like, okay, well, now what? Like, let's go look for ministry jobs. And you were like,
excuse me?
Tap the brakes.
Yeah.
But I remember in that whole process, because there was times like that I was going hard after ministry, also trying to, you know, be there for you and the kids when they were, you know, really, really young, and then also going to school and working full time. That there was tension, like in that season. It was hard. We had to make a lot of sacrifices, and to do that. And I remember there being points of contention, and I can't even really remember even what they were all over. But there was times in that season where I was like, man, this feels like an impossibility. I'm never going to be able to go into ministry. I don't even know if Jenna really wants me to go into ministry. And the Lord just kept reminding me of the fact that you were part of the call, just like Sarah was part of Abraham's call. Yeah. And that, like, he spoke that so clearly one time, multiple times, but the first time so clearly when I was just reading in my time with the Lord in the morning, that you were part of that call. And so I kept coming back to that. But I think what's really interesting, and this is probably helpful, is that obviously planting a church for us was a major decision. Yeah. But we could point back to this, what I'm about to unravel, to our decision for how we are going to go about infertility and handle those sort of things, or even moving from where we previously were up to Salina. All of those different things. There's all these big life decisions that couples have to navigate. And I think what we kind of stumbled into and discovered is that God's not going to have a major decision divide the home.
Right. Yes, I agree with you.
He called us one flesh.
He did.
And so if we're not one on a big decision, moving, career direction, kids, whatever it may be, you need to go back and pray about it. I'm just kidding. But no, like, we need to go back and we need to pray about it together and seek the Lord's direction. Like, hey, is he calling us this way or that way?
But it seems like throughout all those big decisions, we've just been aligned. Like, we felt the same thing, but we would have not moved
off the bat necessarily.
Well, church planting for sure, no.
Right.
And even moving was super hard, but we had to move for our son. And so that was a little bit different. But we never took a step without being in an agreement first.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is, like, for church planting, God put that seed of desire in my heart maybe in 2016. And I remember asking you when we were driving home from that life group meeting, where Pastor Brad at the time, he was like, hey, maybe David, you would plant a church one day. And that did something in my heart. And I drove home and I'm like, God, yeah, I think I'd want to plant a church. And then immediately it was like the Holy Spirit said, not yet. Like, I heard it so clearly. and I'm hard-headed, and so I was like, hey, Jen, what would you think about planting a church at some point together? And you said,
Heck no.
you're like, I will never
Nope.
never do that. And so that's 2016. And then, honestly, there was a huge increase in desire and intensity, almost like labor pains, I think, from 2020 to 2022. And it was in the fall of 2022 that we go to a church conference, and right after the opening session, you pull me aside and you said
that we needed to plant a church.
Yeah.
And you freaked out on me and got scared.
I did. I started to panic. I was like, whoa, this just got real.
And I was like, wait a second, you wanted to do this. But I think it hit you because it got real.
It did, because before I was not ever going to run ahead of you.
Right.
And in fact, I was having a conversation with one of my friends at the time about a month before that conference. And he said, what would convince you that God's calling you to plant a church? Because it seems so evident to me that this is not a David desire. This is a God-inspired desire. And without hesitation, I said, if Jenna said we were supposed to plant a church. And then 30 days later, you're like, we're supposed to plant a church. But I didn't like, talk to us. Like, did I twist your arm? Did I try to persuade you or sell you on it?
No, you never did that. You never pushed. You never pulled. You never threatened or anything like that. You were very patient with me. I had to work through, prior to ministry, you were in advertising sales. And so for anyone who's in sales, you know that the lifestyle is very comfortable. And so I wasn't working at the time. I had Amazon packages at my door every day. I never had a concern in the world. And I knew ministry was a different life. Now, I don't think in ministry you live in poverty by any means. I just knew it was going to be different.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be a massive adjustment, lifestyle,
and it has been.
Stuff, and it has been.
It has been a huge adjustment. But I think through that time, I remember I'd call my sister just crying, like, "What are we going to do? Does he not understand? Like, we can't afford this. Like, how can we just let go of all of this money and all of these things?" And my sister just always listened to me, but. After we went to that conference and I felt like the Lord had put in my heart to tell you to go, and then we decided to plant, and we finally walked away from that job, I had to, in a way, kind of reshape or relearn my identity, because what ended up happening when we did live that way is I found my identity in my finances and the things that I had, to the point that I didn't even feel like I could hang out with certain people because I knew I didn't make enough money anymore. And so I had to kind of relearn who my identity was in Christ. And all of the fears I had before, well, how are we going to pay our bills? How are we going to have insurance? How are we going to do all these things? Never once since planting have I had to worry about it. The Lord has taken care of us every step of the way, and I've never had to go without. In fact, I'm happier now and more content now than when my bank account was padded, because I do know that the Lord is going to provide for me. And you probably can attest to that, because I, most of the time, would freak out about money. And now I'm just like, oh, it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. And there's just been this huge shift. So it's actually helped me grow in what my identity is in Christ.
Man, I love hearing that. And you're right, because we have less.
Yes.
On paper today, but we don't feel that.
No.
At least in our experience, it's again, God does. He just meets our needs. And I think his timing is right, though, because if I would have tried to rush ahead of you and then done that, man, it would have been disastrous.
Right, yeah.
And also, I don't think the provision actually would have been there, because God's provision is actually tied to not only obedience, but his timing.
Yeah.
And so it could be that people had heard something from the Lord, but they rushed ahead, and it's making it more difficult than it needs to be, because you stepped outside of his timing, even though it was the right idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to keep
waiting
both of those.
Is hard.
It is hard.
Waiting and not knowing is, I'm sure that most of you can attest to that. Just sitting and waiting is really hard.
Really hard. So yeah, I would say, to kind of bring this full circle back to leadership in the home, I don't think that it's husbands just dictate, let's go throw down the hammer, obey. That wouldn't go well.
No. Oh my gosh.
I think it is serving. I think it is maybe suggesting hearing the voice of the Lord, though, because you knew like that I felt like God was calling us at that direction at some point. I think that might have softened your heart to then hear it for yourself too.
But I think to add to that, like you're just different, I think, and I love you for that. But I think for most people, like, it takes trust. Like, when we first got married, I didn't let you lead me, I don't think. Like, I still was like, no, I'm strong. I can help make these decisions. I can do these things. And over time, I began to trust you. But that trust came when I was watching you walk with the Lord every single morning. And so I could see the Lord working in you, which made me trust you more. Like, whenever you say something to me, I don't typically, sure, sometimes I'll question things here and there, but I trust you. And I also know that, like, you're for me. You're my best friend. You have my best interest. But that takes time. And sometimes early on in marriage, you're just trying to figure it out. And you're learning that trust. Just because you were engaged for 2 years and then you got married doesn't mean you immediately trust someone. Like, it takes time.
Yeah, that actually is true, especially through some of those things that you didn't navigate when you were dating, and the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say I do? How do we typically process if we don't come into, like, there's some decisions, like I would never be like, hey, let's go move. Let's go plant a church. Let's go, have another kid or something like that if we weren't both in agreement on that and if God hadn't both worked on our heart. But there are some times in life, we know this, the decisions have to be made quick. Right. Like there's a deadline. It's like, hey, we've got to decide, are we going to, put our kids in, I don't know, that one might even be more time. I was going to say like private school or homeschool or what, that sort of thing. Usually I think maybe alignment would come there.
We had to quickly decide if we were moving to Salina.
Yeah, I mean, that was
we had to take Matt
fairly
out
quick.
Of private school. We had to figure that out, and I think both of us were super hesitant, but I don't know, but we still had a piece in that. I think when we don't agree on something, we talk it out over like a series of days.
And then what do we default to typically? Like, because there are times that it's like you don't have a thus saith the Lord, go do this, and it's like you're having to rely on your best intuition. Oh. And sometimes we may not even see eye to eye on it right off the bat.
I think normally we just take a step. Like we came into a situation just over the summer where we had to make a decision and we weren't really on the same page. I wanted to do it one way, you wanted to do it the other. And so we in our family decide not a lot of things, but some big decisions. We don't just decide between me and David. David's parents speak a lot into our lives, and my sister and brother speak a lot into us, even my mom. And so we will filter things that way, and then we'll normally come back together. I was actually just telling David's mom recently that we like make huge family decisions. Like we're all a part of it. It takes all of us. We're like a little village. But I love that about us. And so a lot of times we do that. I know you talk to your parents like 5 times a day, so I'm sure you tell them about it.
Well, and that is true. I think it goes back to the whole thing that we've been talking in the Relationship Reset series, that everyone needs someone, and we need other people in our life to speak into this situation. Because sometimes you and I, or husband and wife, you can actually be way too close to the situation, and you can't see the obvious decision or the best path forward because you're too wrapped up in it emotionally. And I think, again, that goes back to the importance of church community, goes back to the importance of family, friends that you can trust that can also add their voice to that conversation. You got to have those things. And so I would challenge you, if you don't, then take a step towards a portrait house. Like get plugged in, dare to be known. Don't just settle for sitting on Sunday, but man, be a part of that thing because that's where you find that.
I agree. Okay. And actually, like to speak into that and how amazing portrait is, just this week, we had on the same day, actually, one person was delivering flowers to a person that just had surgery. Another person was going to eat lunch with a person that had surgery. And then we had someone else making a sunshine basket for someone that just found out they had cancer. And I called David and I was like, I think I could cry. Like, this is church community. This is what it's supposed to be about. Like, and so we were talking about it, but we both agreed the way that happens is vulnerability.
Yeah.
Like they had to be vulnerable first to let people in and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, so that the community could come around and support them. But without being known and being vulnerable, we wouldn't have been able to help. And so I think it does go to like, you need that community, but in order to get that community, you have to take a step towards vulnerable. But I can't say the word. And normally you struggle with words.
So I think in the leadership decisions, when it comes to the house, big decisions, just kind of big takeaway, God's going to bring a husband and wife into alignment on those decisions. Yeah. Those quicker, maybe smaller decisions, there could be, there may sometimes not be that unity on the decision. And there's times that I've given towards you.
And I've given towards you.
And then, we've reversed. And then we invite other voices into that. And that's generally helped. And I also think slowing down. I feel like almost every time we've tried to make a decision fast, whether it was purchasing, a piece of furniture or a vehicle or whatever it is, if we go fast, it almost always ends up disastrous.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Speed kills. Speed kills. What have you learned about me through co-leading together? and then I'll share what I've
I want
learned
you to
about
go first.
Okay, fine. I'll go first. You're far stronger than I thought you were.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, some of the things that you have had to navigate, I think have been harder than what I've had to navigate in the first 2 years. And you're tough.
Thank you.
You're very tough. And also, you're right more than I care to admit.
Okay, but it takes you a while to come around.
This is my open confessional that is probably well overdue. Yeah.
Okay, I will say, I'll be like, hey, we should try this. And you have to verbal process with about 5 people. And I used to get offended by that. Well, why doesn't he just believe me? And now I'm like, I just tell myself, he'll come back. I know we're going to do it that way, but he's got to go talk to all of his people first to figure it out. So I've learned that about you.
That I'm a verbal processor.
Oh, well, I knew that before, but I think even with church, it's been more. Okay, I think that you're a really good leader. Like a leader worth following. And trust me, I would have quit a long time ago had I not thought you were a good leader. But you, I don't know, it's got to be the Holy Spirit working through you, through all of that time you spend in the Bible. But babe, you're a really good leader, and
that
you
means
really
a lot.
Care.
Because and you know this, but that's probably the point that I actually feel the most insecure in, is in leading.
But you're so good at it.
And well, thank you.
And I can say this probably, and I don't think Hanson. I don't think Hanson would mind me saying this. Jennifer Hanson works for us, and she's amazing. And we were talking one day, and she's like, I don't know if this is the right decision, but I'll follow David right off that cliff because I believe in him that much.
That's cool.
Which says a lot, because ministry is hard, but corporate's hard. And finding a good leader that you want to work for and that you will jump off the cliff with, that's rare. That's not often.
That's
and
cool.
So you're a really good leader.
Thanks. Let's pivot to I think is there anything else on, marriage wise that we need to kind of
No, I think marriage
squeeze
is
out of this thing?
No, I think marriage is good.
Maybe let's go to we did talk about 3 questions. I don't know your answers to it. Let's maybe go to those real quick. Just
okay.
What are we doing from a marital standpoint that is working in this season?
Okay. In this season, from a marital standpoint, I think we're spending a lot of time together, and we're listening to each other. And I think it has a lot to do, both of our kids are in elementary school officially starting this week, right? So that has been kind of a little bit of a game changer. When you have young kids at home, you're surviving, and it's a lot. So I think our season of life has changed a little bit, but I think we're spending a lot of time together. And my favorite part is that we're holding hands more. I know, you're so
you did
far.
Say, I do think this has been a good season. Just this year, I feel like we've been more intentional at seeing one another.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
if that makes sense, like we live in the same house, but there's times that you're just like two ships passing in the wind. I think we've slowed down and seen each other better in this season, been more intentional. And that's actually been really, really good because, when we did the marriage huddle with some of the portrait dudes, this was last summer. My dad, who's been married to my mom, came in for that huddle and helped co-lead that with me. And one of his most practical pieces of advice was the 4-minute rule, which is basically the first 4 minutes when a spouse walks through the door sets the tone for the next 4 hours. And how many times are we greeted by a bouncing Labrador retriever that's 95 pounds with greater enthusiasm than maybe our spouse in a lot of cases because we get so busy. And I kept we kind of talked about that. Hey, let's make sure we're really good with the first 4 minutes, and nothing really changed. And then, and I don't even know why. I think it's just maybe habits are hard or whatever. And then for some reason this year, we've been much better at stopping whatever we're doing and greeting each other when we come in. And it's definitely made a big difference.
It's made a huge difference to the point that I expect it. I think you expect it. I came home from Austin this summer and you didn't greet me. And I was very upset about that.
That actually
took us. And I told you.
It took us about, that one thing, because you're right. I was finishing typing something. I was writing the conversation for Sunday, and I was right at the close. And so, I totally dropped the ball.
You did.
Yeah. And I heard you come in. I was like, okay, well, this is going to take me 2 more minutes. Got to finish. And so then I came down, and 2 minutes isn't that long, you don't think?
It was longer than 2 minutes.
Well, whatever.
It was 10.
The point is, I dropped the ball, and that decision actually negatively impacted us for about the next 48 hours.
It did, yeah. Because remember, I suppressed, so I had to harbor it for a minute, and you had to pull it out of me.
And yet I could tell because I was like, "Gosh, I feel like the Ice Queen just came back into our house."
Shush. It's really, I feel important to see each other, and that's a hard thing to do when you have kids, but to really just see each other and to remember I chose you and you chose me.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
We've been better at it in this season, but I think the thing to really hit on is it's a season.
Yeah.
Because we've also had seasons where we feel like we're roommates or we're partners in ministry together.
Yep.
Or we're just trying to keep both kids alive.
Yes.
And it's all of our time and attention is being sucked by those little minions.
Who we love.
Who we do love a lot. And I don't know. Hopefully that encourages you because I know that there's people that you're struggling. You're in a tough season in your marriage. Maybe you do feel like you're just two ships passing in a wind or the romance is just kind of down. And we've had extended seasons in that. And I think it's really important to know that the enemy, I think, in those seasons where things aren't where we really want them to be, I think he kills more relationships by getting them to think that this season is a life sentence rather than just a stretch of time.
Agreed.
And if we don't take captive those thoughts and those seasons and we start going, well, it's always going to be like this. It's never going to get better.
Yeah.
We're never going to really make time as a couple to date one another or enjoy each other or to spend time with one another, then that discouragement kicks in and that negative thought loop continues and then things just start to crumble.
Yeah. Your thoughts, your mind game, it's powerful. You've got to be on it.
Yeah. So if you're in one of those seasons, it is a season. You got to remember that.
It is.
Okay, so let's shift gears to parenting.
Okay.
So we have 2 boys. And then we have a fur baby, which is our 95-pound golden doodle named Max. And we love Max.
And he's obsessed with you.
Boy, he is obsessed with me. He's actually, if we had a bleep button, I'd say it a different way. But he is really good at trying to disrupt our flow. We'll be sitting on the couch holding hands and he'll come up and
sit in the middle.
Yeah, or nose our hands off of each other. We've tested that. I was waking up from a nap and you came in just to lay with me and we were cuddling for a second and he weasels his way right in. And so
he's worse than the kids.
He is worse than the kids. There's a lot of testosterone in the house.
There is. There's 4. There's 4 of you. 4. I'm the only female.
4 boys. So let's talk about parenting because I think it's actually probably the hardest thing.
Oh, it's the hardest job.
In the entire world.
I'm sure most of you can attest. It is the hardest job.
And so with our infertility journey, so I have cystic fibrosis, so we couldn't have kids naturally. And so Jen and I got married, and it wasn't until, we were married 8 years, I think, before we had a kid. But it's 7 because then you had the pregnancy thing in there, before we were working that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the right timeline? Yeah. And so I really enjoyed that stretch was actually really healthy for us.
Very healthy. I just encouraged someone to do that the other day. Like, take time and get to know your spouse for a bit before you have kids.
Yeah, because
if you have the opportunity.
Totally throws a different wrench into things. There are 2 things. Marriage has revealed that I'm far more selfish than I thought I was. And it's so easy to want to put my needs before, or my wants, I should say, before your needs.
Yeah.
And then marriage has shown me how impatient I am.
Kids have shown me how impatient I am.
Yeah.
Same?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, but I think that stretch of time, because the 2 hardest times in our marriage, we've been married for 15 years. For me, it was year 1 and year 8 when we started parenting.
Yeah. Yeah. Parenting has been hard. We have, our older son has some, like special needs, some special circumstances. And so he's 8 now. And I will say that it has been a journey. These 8 years have been a journey. It's opened my eyes up to a lot of things, for sure. I'm sure you're the same way. We've had to advocate a lot for our son. It's just been an interesting journey, and maybe you can expand on it and then I'll jump in. But we have a younger son, Cam, who's 5, and this kid is fearless. He loves life. And he's such a joy. And our older son is a joy too. They're both a joy, but they bring like different things to the table, I feel like. But in the parenting realm, you and I have had to come together. I mean, we were both raised so differently. I come from a broken home. You come from a very steady Christian home. I did not grow up in church. I didn't even accept the Lord until I was 23. And so our upbringing is very different. And so that's been hard to navigate, for sure.
Even on small stuff, like what was your morning like in your home with TV? Let's talk TV, like essentially is what I was thinking.
My morning started off every day with the news. And to this day, I watch the news all the time because it's very soothing and calming to me.
Well, it's not even Fox News. It's ABC or like just the local.
I switched to Fox.
Okay, whatever. It's just it doesn't matter what you're on. It's just the local news is literally like your pack of cigarettes.
It is, and I'm trying to do better. So leave me alone.
Yeah, but that's an example. Like in my house, like we never had TV, especially in the morning, and so us kind of going, well, like what are we gonna do with our kids? And honestly, I probably gave in more than I led in that area, in my opinion. And then the kids ended up like loving TV in the morning. We're trying to reverse that habit a little bit right now.
Yeah.
But that's like a good example because there's just such a different deal. And
yes.
We need to come back to that about like TV and tech and boundaries. Remind me.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't forget on that.
I got you.
But yeah, that's one example with it. And then I think even just in like different family rhythms, like holidays, what those look like.
Yeah. There's been a lot of disagreements in our parenting that we've had to work through. And David's parents said this to him when he was, or I don't know if they said this to you or you heard them say this to each other, but they always would say, hey, let's not put the problem between us. Let's just put it in front of us on the coffee table. And so we find ourselves saying that to each other. Because ultimately we're on the same team. And so, but we don't want our kids to divide us.
Yeah.
And that can be challenging though.
That was the best piece of marital advice. It was like, I almost pictured like a huge yoga size blow up ball. And that's the problem, whether it be parenting, finances, you name it. And the tendency is to allow that thing to come in between you and divide. And my parents, or I think it was my parents, when we were getting married, they're like, push the problem out in front of you and then tackle it together. And we have to remind ourselves of that all the time because that is the propensity, just to allow the problem to come in between.
I agree with you. And even with our older son, who does have some special needs, I'm a nurturer. David's more, I'm a female, so obviously, right? And you're just more like black and white. Like, no, like this is what we do. This is how it should go. And I think it's been hard to navigate, but I think as our son has grown, we've come into agreement more and more, even like starting this school year. I feel like we've handled it well. I mean, in the past 3 days, it's been hard because we're starting a new rhythm and a new structure.
And
new
those
routine.
transitions and changes are so hard for them, and then it creates a lot of stress in the home as a whole.
It can be super challenging, but I feel like we've come together. But it has been because we put the problem in front of us, and we will not let our kids come between us, because ultimately, right? They leave us. They're gonna go off and do their own thing, and when they do, I want to know my husband. Like, I don't want to have to relearn who you are. I want to stay connected to you, and so we need to always be on the same page, and then that can be hard at times. But I think the other thing with our parenting is in relation to like church ministry, it's been hard because sometimes we are under the microscope and our kids can be under the microscope, but you've been where sometimes there has been some like pushback on how our parenting is, you've been such a good like supporter of like, hey, Jen, like, we're his parents. God gave him to us. We know. And like, you speaking into that, I feel like has also really helped. So encouraging each other when the other one's down versus, they're right and you're wrong. Yeah. We've been good at that too. So.
But yeah, and we're totally figuring this out because it is tough. And then I also was just thinking, this is where I was thinking about beyond the tech stuff with how we were differently raised.
Yeah.
My dad hit me in the butt with a 2x4 because I like talked back to him one time when I was like 5. And I remember having a bruise on my butt cheek, but I never opened my mouth again. And so there was times that we'd fight because you're like, no, don't spank it. I'm like, oh no, he's getting a spanking. and then Matt sees this unfolding, or Cam, and then it's like our parenting, we just neutered it because we weren't on the same page with each other.
So yeah, I agree. And then of course you throw my mom in the bunch, and she's like, no, don't spank. But honestly,
oh gosh, she was there that one time.
She was, yeah.
And that bothered me. I love you, Mom and Aunt.
Okay, but also every kid's different, because our younger kid, you can just look at him or say time out and he cries. Like, he just doesn't want to disappoint you. So I feel like all kids are different. It's just trying to arrive together on the same page and be a team, knowing that we're not against each other. And I think that's what happens in parenting. Like, you're against me and I'm against you, but that's not it.
Yeah.
Right?
And like knowing that, no, we are a team. We're partners in this, and being like, and showing that united front, I think is really important, where even if we disagree, once a decision's made, we agree together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we agree together. And with I was gonna say something, I lost my thought. Whereas remember when Matt, when he was a kid, he'd be like, Dad, I lost it. It's in my brain somewhere, but I'll find it again.
Yeah, yes, he did. He used to say that. He's so cute.
It was always cute.
I love our kids.
With the parenting journey, this is what I was going to say, is it's also revealed some things like in me that I need to get significantly better at, though. And we were just talking about this one a couple of weeks ago, where like I tend to default to passivity.
Yeah.
The kids could be like just doing stuff, and it's like discipline's really hard for me. I'm a natural encourager, but then like getting like the discipline stuff's hard, and then sometimes I've kind of pushed that to you. Yeah. And that hasn't gone well.
Well, the kids will say, Mom, Dad's the fun one. You're the boring one. And I'm like, okay, well, I make sure you're alive, and I make sure you have clothes and food to eat. So I guess I could be the boring one because you're living. I don't know. But I think, though, I don't know if discipline's hard. Maybe it is. Maybe it is hard for you. But I will say, and for those of you that do know David pretty well, he can get, you don't hear half of the things that are happening. Like, I hear everything. I hear the kids yelling. I hear the dog drinking water, the TV's on, like all of the things. I can hear it. And maybe that says something about me. I don't know. But David, he like, and you can tell you zone out. Like, and I'll have to say, is anyone home? Because you won't hear it. And I'll be like, did you hear that? And you'll be like, no, I blacked out. I'm like, how did you black out?
It's like, a spiritual gift.
You were next to me in the car.
It's right next to evangelism and shepherding, tuning out the noise of your kids.
It's frustrating.
Because legitimately, they could be burning down the house.
Yes.
And I would be like, and just keep doing my own thing. And I don't even have AirPods in or whatever. Like, I'm just like truly... Whatever's going on in my brain is the loudest thing happening.
I mean, to the point where if I'm supposed to take care of my brother's kids, he'll say, you're going to be there, right, with David? And I'm like, yes, I'll be there. So, but you're a really, really good dad, and the
That is
boys
true.
love you.
We have fun playing together, but I think that is something is we play to each other's strengths well a lot of times. Like we know, like this week with the transition with school, we'll like we all walked the kids to school day 1. Day 2, we knew like it would make things more difficult if you were there because we have Matt's like, I know that dad's like going to be like, no nonsense. There's no nurturing. It's like, go. But then also like you can pull stuff out conversationally from Matt that he will never share with me ever. And I pray that he shares with me at some point, but like today he'll just shut down, but then I can get him at least connecting and laughing and relating to him through playtime and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And so I think knowing our strengths too helps a lot.
I agree.
And then also just how God's wired us, because I think ladies, to your point, typically are more nurturing.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. But
Matt and I have the same brain though, because for most of you, I don't know how open I am about it, but I do struggle with anxiety. And so I do have to take medication. And sometimes that can lead me down some like dark trails, right? But Matt, I think, kind of is similar. So I know what it's like to be stuck in your head and have an anxious mind. I get that. And I think that's how me and Matt can relate, or why we relate so well to each other.
Yeah. All that to say, we don't have 3 points and a poem on how to become a great parent, because we are portraits in progress when it comes to parenting.
Pray for us.
And in fact, I feel like more than anything, we're learning. You know what parenting is? Parenting is failing every single day, but refusing to quit.
Yeah, that's a great way.
That's
to
what
say it.
parenting is.
I like that.
And so honestly, more than anything, we're just failing forward over and over and over and over again. So
yeah.
Let's wrap it up here. If before we ever said I do, like there's no way we could have foreseen how God would lead us over the last 15 years. I mean, would never guessed in our wildest dreams that we would have ended up planting Portrait together, or parenting even 2 boys, or just any of the things. Like life is an adventure. It's such a journey. But what would you say to yourself if you were able to go back in, time 5 years? Okay. So this is like, let's go back to like 2020, 2021, maybe even 2022 timeframe where like, okay, planting looks like it's on the horizon, things like that. Big life changes ahead. What would you go back and tell your future self?
Probably, I don't know. That's such a hard question. Probably that it's going to be okay. Like, I mean, in that season 5 years ago, I wanted to figure it all out, right? I didn't have that trust, I think, yet with the Lord. And if I could go back, I would say, hey, like, he's got you, but you have to trust him to have you. And I had to walk through the last 5 years and learn that. So, I think I would just go back and, hey, like, it's going to be okay. He's got you. He's not going to leave you. The Lord, that is. And, you can do this. It's going to be okay. What about you?
I think I would say to my future self, I would say, enjoy the present.
Like enjoy the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of sweet moments.
God's plans are exceedingly good. And as a dreamer, I can get my head so stuck up in the clouds that I miss the beautiful things happening right under my nose.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm getting better at that now in this season. But man, 5 years ago, I was just constantly thinking about the future. And I think I was just missing precious moments that God wanted me to enjoy right then. And so I would say, man, just don't rush into the next season.
Yeah. Find the beauty in what you're in today.
Yeah.
Even if it's hard.
Correct.
That's really good.
And
Cut.
Scene. We'll call it there. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us for this conversation. Man, I love you.
Thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed this. This was fun, and I was so nervous, but it was fun.
It was fun. And so maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we won't. till next time, because we probably will do it again.
I don't know.
If you want us to do it again, drop some comments. Let us know. Toodles.
Yeah, bye.